Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. It's me, Jonathan Voico, your technical producer for the day on the wonderful John Campea Show this lovely Tuesday afternoon, evening for some of you. I'm not alone here, of course. I've got Robert Meyer Burnett in the studio. Well, not in the studio, in his studio. That's right. Also flying in remotely and driving in remotely is our fearless leader, our host, Mr. John Campea.
City. I think it's called Garden City or Garden something or other. Anyway, I'm here for the movie meetup tonight at the AMC Roosevelt 8. And long driving today. It was, I don't know how any of you live in New York. I really don't. Driving through New York was like the Hunger Games. Like everybody was trying to kill you, and every move you make could be your last. But we made it, and we are here now, and we are alive. And it's good to have you guys here. Thank you for joining us. As Jonathan mentioned, I'm currently in the midst of the newest leg of the movie meetup tour. We were in Columbus, Ohio the other night. We are now in New York. Tomorrow we're going to be in Boston. Looking forward to that. And on Sunday we're going to be in Toronto. And it's good to have all you guys here. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And we do have a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about here today. And we're going to start off with this. Now, The Mandalorian and Grogu is now out in theaters. And while it is now the lowest opening weekend for any Star Wars movie in the Disney era, I mean, the fact of the matter is it's still made over $164 million worldwide just in its opening weekend, which pretty much covers its production costs. And listen, most directors would kill to have any movie in their career open to $80+ million on opening weekend. So not great for a Star Wars movie, but still pretty big. Anyway, it's out in theaters now. And, you know, it got a very mixed response from critics. And it got slightly more positive from the audience, stuff like that. I don't mind the film. I thought it should have been better. I think it's a shame that this is our first Star Wars movie on the big screen in 7 years. I mean, that just, and the fact that we're just taking a TV show and put it on there, but hey, listen, it had some big highlights in it, has some very enjoyable moments, and overall, to me, not terrible. So there you go. But somebody asked me, said, okay, now that a new Star Wars movie is finally out, first one since 2019. Now, John, how would you rank all the 12 live action Star Wars movies, because we don't count that piece of garbage Clone Wars, that animated Clone Wars thing they did. How would you rank the 12 live action Star Wars movies? Where does The Mandalorian fit in there? So I thought it would be fun here today for us to do a little ranking, shall we? Some of you probably have a pretty good idea about how mine will generally shake out. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through mine. Then I'm going to have Rob go through his. And we'll go from there. So let me start all the way down at the bottom, and I'll work my way up to the top. At the very bottom, and it was close. The bottom two are very, very close. And if I do this list again in 3 months, I might actually switch it. So they're very tight. But for right now, at the very bottom is Attack of the Clones. This movie is a crime against humanity. It should never exist. It does exist. It's part of canon. I'm not one of these losers who says, take movies out of canon. No, they're part of canon. Leave them there. It's still terrible, but don't touch it. So to me, the absolute worst Star Wars live action film ever made was this horrible piece of garbage known as Attack of the Clones. All right. Second to last, and again, it was close between this and Attack of the Clones. But for today, I'm going to put the second last, The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, if you want to talk about wasted potential, you talk about where the Star Wars sequels went after the first one. It went on a steady from great to mediocre to absolutely horrible, close to being the worst Star Wars live action movie ever made. But The Rise of Skywalker failed on so many levels. I've gone into it in great detail before. I don't need to relitigate it all again. So it's second from the bottom is The Rise of Skywalker. Third from the bottom, The Phantom Menace. Oh my goodness. So excited when I went to the movie theater to see my first Star Wars in forever. And it starts off talking about trade routes and negotiations for trade deals and laser swords and Misa Pusa. Yeah, I mean, I kind of tricked myself at first when I saw The Phantom Menace because, by the way, as much as I hate that movie, the biggest jump forward in the history of visual effects. I think The Phantom Menace represents the single biggest jump forward in the history of visual effects.
Oh, yeah.
And there are several things I really like about The Phantom Menace, by the way. I, to this day, will defend to my last breath the pod race scene. That whole pod race sequence, maybe, Rob, the best sound design I've ever heard in a film sequence was the pod race sequence. Obviously, the Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn lightsaber battle, Duel of the Fates came from The Phantom Menace.
Sure.
So I hate that movie, but I have no problem pointing out some of the things that I enjoyed in it. And that's why it's not lower on this list. I've got it third from the bottom. Somebody in the live chat saying, but the dialogue set the film back decades. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Horrible dialogue. Anyway, in my number fourth from the bottom, I've got Revenge of the Sith. I think out of the entire dog crap pile of refuse that is known as the prequels, I think Revenge of the Sith sits at the top. Again, there are several things that I liked in The Phantom Menace, and I can say the same for Revenge of the Sith. I think there are several things that are really, really elements, at least, in Revenge of the Sith that are really good. I mean, notwithstanding the stereotypical no. And
they should have just cut that part.
Oh my God. To me, the worst part is worse than the no part is the, oh, well, Obi-Wan, the fight's over. I have the high ground. What the fuck are you talking about? We've both had high ground at 40 different points in this fight, but now it means something. Anyway, I won't go into it all again. I think the best of the prequels, I think it's better than The Rise of Skywalker. So I've got Revenge of the Sith at number 4 from the bottom. All right. Number 5 from the bottom, I have The Last Jedi. Much like Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, it's a movie that has a lot wrong with it. I mean, what were they thinking with the entire chunk of the film that was like the casino planet, which was just completely useless. How do you have Benicio del Toro in your movie and just waste him like that? But much like Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, there was also some pretty eye-popping great moments in it. Like, for example, I've seen some great videos about this, and it's true. Like, the whole thing about at the end, Luke Skywalker, like, literally being the guy who, like, he does the most Jedi thing that a Jedi could do. Like, the way he handles himself at the end of that movie is like that he perfectly embodied the Jedi code while protecting people at the same time. It was a thing of greatness. So there are moments and there are things in it. And I generally, I kind of feel the same way about it that I feel about Mandalorian. Like I generally think it's okay, but it's just, there's a lot of things that prevent me from liking it a whole lot more. All right. Next up above that is the new film, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Which is shocking, kind of, that this newest
that I have it this low or I have
mm-hmm.
it this high.
This high.
Well, like I said, I've been talking about it. Do I think this was worthy of being the first Star Wars movie in 7 years? No. Do I think they should have made a movie that was just the extension of the TV show? No. Does it actually have a plot? No. It has like 4 or 5 and it changes directions multiple times
for the rest below it?
Oh yeah. But I really enjoyed like that opening sequence. I love the first 15, 16, 17 minutes. There's this great action sequence later in the film with a fight in a bar that I thought was fantastic. I really liked the Rod of the Hutt character. I'll always love seeing Mr. Kim show up as an X-Wing fighter pilot. I don't know why Dave Filoni felt the need to put himself in the movie twice, but whatever, that's fine. I love Mandalorian Grogu? No, I absolutely don't. But was there a bunch in there to appreciate? And I did, especially after watching it twice, and I'm about to go in and watch it a third time. That the things that I appreciate about it, I like it even more. So yeah, I've got Mandalorian. See, that's 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. I got it at number 7. I got Mandalorian at number 7. Okay. At number 6, just a hair above it. Like, again, if I do this list again in 2 months, I might reverse them, but I'm still going to put just a hair above it, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Very much in the same boat as Mandalorian. Like, overall, not a great outing for a Star Wars film, but I've always contended that I thought Solo was a really good, fun space adventure movie.
Mhm.
I never thought they should have made it. I still don't think they should have ever made it, but they did. And they ended up delivering a pretty enjoyable product as far as I'm concerned. Did it do a lot to expand the lore of the Star Wars universe? No, not at all. Did it tell us things we needed to know? No, not really. But was it just a good watch in and of itself on its own merits? And yeah, it was. So I've got that at number 6. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. All right. At number 5, I have The Force Awakens. I don't apologize for this. I loved the movie. I went back to theaters to watch it like probably, I lost count how many times. Like I've told the story before, Rob, me and Schnepp, our offices were right across the street from the AMC Burbank 16. And like every day that we had like 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the afternoon around lunch, we would go, let's go watch The Force Awakens again. And we'd run across the street, use our AMC cards, get in, and we would just watch it again. I really enjoyed it. Do I think it's as good as any of the films in the original trilogy? No, but when you're looking at some films, some highly rated films today that are coming out with like A- cinema scores, don't forget the Phantom Menace had an A cinema score. An A, not an A-, not a B+, it had an A cinema score. And I know it kind of fell out of favor with some people, but I had a great time with it. It still stands today and might stand forever as the highest grossing movie ever in America. No movie domestically has ever made as much money, not an Avengers movie, not an Avatar movie. I'm an appreciator of that particular movie. The sequel trilogy went downhill after it, but there you have it. All right. At number 4 for me is, I think the first and only truly great Star Wars film since the original trilogy, and that's Rogue One. I still remember, I think it was me and Christian and Ken Knapsack. I think we went to go see it for the first time. Anyway, if I'm remembering it correctly, maybe Mark Ellis was there too. And I just remember being completely shocked because me, I'm not big on the concept of prequel at all. But the idea about how, with a totally different group of characters, how did the rebellion get their hands on the Death Star plans, right? Without using the exact same characters and all that kind of stuff, and what they managed to do. And of course, it then laid the groundwork for what became probably the best thing Star Wars has ever done outside of the original trilogy. It gave us Andor. But yeah, Rogue One, I think, is a truly great movie. K2SO is like one of the most brilliantly delightful side characters ever, totally up there with 3PO and R2. So I've got Rogue One at number 4. In the number 3 spot, no surprise, the entire original trilogy takes up the top 3 spots. And these are so close to me, they are 1A and 1B, but we'll put them in order. At number 3, I have the original, Star Wars, or as we now call it today, Star Wars: A New Hope. It is, I don't think it's hyperbole to say, I think it is the single most influential film ever made. I really do. I think when you talk to all the great crop of filmmakers today, the majority of the great ones will say it was Star Wars. That's the movie that set us on our path and all that kind of stuff. It is, I think, the most important movie ever made. I'm not saying it's the single greatest film of all time, but it's just so pivotal. So I've got that one at number 3. Now, this is where it gets a little bit, Harloff's in live chat. Well, the movie's at 7:20, Harloff, so the meetup is whatever time the movie's over after that. Anyway, looking forward to seeing you, by the way. So this is where it gets a little bit whatever, because most of my Star Wars loving brethren will put Empire Strikes Back at number 1. And you will get no argument from me. I totally get why. But for me, Empire Strikes Back comes in just at the number 2 spot. Not because it lacks anything. Not at all. It's bloody brilliant. Irvin Kershner and like the whole, it's a bloody brilliant film. I just like, and it's one of the few examples still today of a sequel that surpasses the original. We've had some examples of that, but there's not a lot. But Empire Strikes Back is one of those. And then for me, it's Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I think, is the best of the bunch for a couple of reasons. Number one, it brings everything together perfectly. It's a perfect summation of everything that happened in the previous films. I absolutely, this picture right here, I mean, tells a story in and of itself. It is, and I believe to this day, it is the single greatest space battle ever. Is this attack around the battle around the second Death Star. I still think it's the second greatest, or the greatest space battle scene I've ever seen. I think the greatest sequence ever put to film is the Emperor's throne room. I think not just in Star Wars lore, I think it's the greatest sequence ever in film, because so much is going on. There's so much drama, and the mix of the set design with what's going on narratively and the music, that the like with and the lightsaber fight. It's not the best choreography.
Could you do that music one more time?
You know the music. Come on. I mean, it's perfection. It's perfection. That entire sequence is perfection put on film. And I just love it. And to this day, I like the George Lucas's juxtaposition of the natural world versus the industrialized world with the Ewoks and the Empire. And you guys have heard me talk about it before. I don't have to go into it, but the Ewoks are the most misunderstood element in a movie ever. They are lethal, hedonistic, murderous little critters this is the part that always makes people have to go out and seek therapy. When Luke shows up at the Ewok village and he sees Leia, where did Leia get that dress? I'll tell you where he got the dress. Where she got the dress. You see, the Ewoks had that dress because somebody they ate was wearing it, and they still had it hanging around. They kill and then feast on the flesh of their enemies, and then use your severed heads as instruments in their victorious celebrations as your blood-curdling screams for mercy go unanswered, having up to the night sky in Endor. But anyway, so there's the Ewoks. I just think it's just a magnificent, magnificent film. So again, going from the bottom to the top for me, it's Attack of the Clones, Rise of Skywalker, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, Last Jedi, The Mandalorian and Grogu, Solo: A Star Wars Story, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So that is my list. Everybody's list is going to be a little bit different, but that is mine. Anyway, guys, and for those of you who do not understand Star Wars as well as I do, maybe your list will be different. That's perfectly okay. All right, Rob, your list. You've been following these movies every bit as long as I have. We all have different lists. Things mean a little bit different to us, and we'll put them all in different orders. What do you think about it? What's yours look like?
My list begins at the very bottom of my list is, it turned 49 years old. The original Star Wars is the very, very bottom of my list.
You've got A New Hope at the bottom of your list?
Bottom of my list. At the top is The Empire Strikes Back. That's my list.
And you got
that's the extent of your list.
That's the extent of my list. Now, since that's not how we play this game, I must. That's the top tier. That's the A list.
I thought you were saying you put The New Hope at number 12.
That's the triple. That's the list. Now everything else is on a lower tier. So Star Wars and Empire are at the bottom and top of my list. Now we're going to drop down into the Stygian depths of things that aren't nearly as good. At number, what would that be? It's 12 because is there 13 total? Because
there's 12 total.
12 total. So we're going to go down to the bottom at number 12, The Rise of Skywalker. Not a very good movie. I don't need to see what once they said that there was hyperspace skipping and the Millennium Falcon comes out of hyperspace into the middle of a city, I was out. I'm like, okay, I can't watch this, because it ain't like Dustin Crops, boy. You bounce too close to a supernova and that end your trip real quick. Oh, unless you come out in the middle of a gravity well of a planet in the middle of a city, because that's easy to do. So sorry, I was out. At number 11, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Okay.
A movie that has no story, no character development, and my favorite character was a Hutt. Go figure. So that's number 11. Number 10, The Phantom Menace. Despite the Duel of the Fates, despite everything else, I think that The Phantom Menace was the second most disappointing movie I've probably ever seen in my life. Topped only by another movie that's coming up on this list. And above The Phantom Menace at number 9 would be Attack of the Clones, which I like more than most people. I have a soft spot for Attack of the Clones. I like the battle on Geonosis. I like Lama Su. You know, I like a lot of things about I like the sonic mine that makes no sense in space, but I like it anyway. Don't care.
Oh, that was great. Hey, and did you notice that Mandalorian, without going into sports, you noticed the Mandalorian Grogu completely ripped off the arena scene from the Attack of the Clones?
Oh, yes, by using the chess pieces from A New Hope. Yes. So I mean, it's, you know, breaking the fourth wall. Then above Attack of the Clones, we're going to go to Force Awakens, a movie, the third most disappointing movie I ever saw in my life because I was so excited to see it. The Return of Star Wars after 10 years. It looked like it was going to be great, but I should have known because the man who made the two worst Star Trek things ever, and one of them being Into Darkness, made it. So, yeah, it was a movie where it was just a retread of A New Hope. You know, again, show me something new.
But then again, so was Top Gun Maverick.
That's true, but Top Gun Maverick was good. It had good characters. Above Force Awakens, I'm going to give to the Last Jedi. So what does that put me at? Let's see, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. That's 6. Solo's right there in the middle of the list. It's 6. At number 5, Return of the Jedi, the single most disappointing movie I've ever seen in my life. But I won't get into it. Oh my
God.
I just spent 5 hours on a stream explaining exactly why. And you can go back and watch it. And then above Return of the Jedi is Revenge of the Sith, a movie that I'm always surprised how rewatchable it is. Do I think it's great? No. But there's so much Star Wars lore in it, and there's so many pivotal scenes. Look, is it clumsy? Is the dialogue terrible? Yes. But there's so many interesting things. I really love Ian McDermott in it. Everything that he's in that movie is gold, and I can't get enough of him. I can't get enough of his accent. I just love everything about it, even though it's kind of boring and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I don't care. And at number, what is this? 10 is Rogue One, and then 11 and 12 are Star Wars and Empire. That's my list.
All right.
But really, it's just Star Wars and Empire.
It's funny because to me, whenever people ask me about like my favorite films of all time, and maybe it is cheating a little bit, but whatever, I get to do this. I just say like Star Wars is my all-time favorite movie. They'll go, which one? It's like, no, just Star Wars, like A New Hope, Empire, Jedi. I kind of just count them as one thing. And then I'll say Lord of the Rings, which of course I mean, when I say Lord of the Rings, I mean, you know, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King. So I kind of clump them all in there together. So neither of us have Mandalorian and Grogu all that high on our list, but I don't have it at the bottom. So that's something. That's something. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Now that The Mandalorian and Grogu is out for all of us to see, how would you rank it in the pantheon of the now 12 live-action Star Wars films? Jump down into the comments and leave your list there. All right, guys. With that down, I figured it's a good time for us, and maybe for the first time ever, I don't know, to play ourselves a little round of Overreaction. From the road. The way Overreaction works is really simple. A little bit earlier today, we jumped onto the YouTube channel's community tab, and we asked you guys to share with us some of your hottest of hot takes. And then Rob and I would adjudicate definitively, harshly, whether your hot take is an overreaction or not. Jonathan's got a bunch picked out there. So Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right. I hear these hot takes are really hot right now. Rob, we're starting with you. Tim Kiki says Toy Story 5 will be an even bigger summer box office hit than Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Ooh, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that this is definitely a horse race. I mean, depending on how good Toy Story 5 is, and by all accounts, it's probably going to be great, because when hasn't the Toy Story movie been great? And obviously it's been already voted the most eagerly awaited film of the summer. And I think it really comes down to which movie is better. Although the early word on the street is that Spider-Man Brand New Day is the best Spider-Man movie. So I'm going to say it's going to be a very close race, but it's not an overreaction.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. And I agree. Like, if somebody were to ask me to put $5 on which one I think will be bigger, I'm going to put on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Like, I think Spider-Man Brand New Day will end up being bigger. But if you don't think that Toy Story has any shot at beating it, I think you're being naive. I think it does have a shot.
Yeah.
Because look, and the new trailers have come out. People have loved them. Rob, you pointed out Fandango did their annual big fan survey, and it wasn't Spider-Man. It wasn't Odyssey. The number one most anticipated film of the year was Toy Story 5. And they showed us a bunch of it at CinemaCon, and it looks really good.
It really does.
The last couple have made over $1 billion. And listen, if they can capture that family audience, like really capture it and be that kind of a thing where the kids want to go back several times to see it, and the family keeps going back. Again, remember, I'm saying I actually think Spider-Man will be the one that makes more money. But I agree with Rob. It's close enough that I don't think it's an overreaction. So I agree.
I was thinking of Zootopia 2 and how much Zootopia 2 made.
Look how much. Yes. And if you don't think Toy Story can make more than that, it can if it's really good.
And Zootopia 2 closed in on Spider-Man Brand New Day's box office. Yep. I mean, within striking distance. So I was like, you know what? You've got to say it's a horse race.
Yep. All right. What's next?
Okay, next up, we're going to switch over to you, John. Is this an overreaction? We hear from Lost Anchor, Narnia, the Magician's Nephew will make more box office in its first weekend than Barbie.
Oh my gosh. Well, my first reaction is to say that's an overreaction, but let me just check here on what the opening weekend of Barbie was. Opening weekend of Barbie was $162 million. Yeah, I that's an overreaction. Like, look, it's not like we don't have any precedent for Chronicles of Narnia movies in theaters, right? Like, while the first Lion Witch in the Wardrobe did make over 700 million, the following, like, was Prince Caspian and what was it? Not Silver Chair. What was it? It was Prince Caspian, and what was the other one they did? But anyway, the two they did after, both of them just made around a Black Adam. And so we have precedent of how much the audience wants to run out and go see these Narnia films. I don't see 100. What's that?
It was Dawn Treader. It was Prince Caspian.
Dawn Treader. Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yeah.
So I just don't see. Listen, it's Greta Gerwig, the director of Barbie. I'm sure it's going to be good. But do I think there's a lot of hunger out there for a new Narnia film? By the way, C.S. Lewis is one of my all-time favorite authors. But $160+ million opening weekend? No. Just no. So I'm going to call this an overreaction. Rob, what about you?
I think it's an overreaction as well. I've got to go with you on this one. I mean, I don't think it's a big stretch to say why it's an overreaction, and you articulated it perfectly. So yeah, no, it's not an overreaction.
It is.
I mean, it is an overreaction.
Yeah, there we go. All right, what's next?
All right, heading back over to you, Rob. We're going to hear from Max S. Is this an overreaction? D'Onofrio's Kingpin is a top 5 MCU villain.
Oh, I don't think that's an overreaction. I mean, I think what's great about him is you see how dangerous. The thing about Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is he doesn't wield magical powers. He doesn't have the Infinity Stones. He's not a Titan from Titan. He is a dangerous human being who, hey, can he do anything to Doctor Strange? I don't know. If he plots, he can. But as a singular entity that is cunning, intelligent, but also will wreck a fool, he's a very formidable villain. And the thing is, you won't see him coming. He's not going to announce his presence. He's not going to appear in the sky and tell you he's taken over the world. He'll ruin your life before you even know it. And he'll come at you and if you want him to come at you, fists blazing, he will. So top 5, absolutely.
Yeah, like I don't know if I would say that Kingpin is a top 5 like most dangerous villain, but if you're talking about in terms of a villain that elevates whatever story they're a part of to make it more engaging and more watchable, absolutely he's a top 5 MCU villain for a lot of the reasons that Rob mentioned, but I'll add this one. They also constantly appealed to Wilson Fisk's humanity quite often. From going back, much like Homelander, going back and showing some of the trials and tribulations he went through as a child, some of the rough stuff he had to go through as a kid, the fact that he was actually capable of love. I think all those types of things creates the tapestry that makes a really fascinating villain. Now, if you had said that Kingpin is the number 1 MCU villain, well, then I might call that an overreaction. But do I think he belongs in the top 5 list? Yeah, because you're talking Thanos, you're talking Killmonger, and there's a couple of others in there as well. But yeah, absolutely, Kingpin's a top 5. So I'm going to call that not an overreaction at all.
Okay. Sticking with you, John, here. Is this an overreaction? We hear from Storm Ryan Johnson. After Mandalorian and Grogu's underperformance at the box office, we will never see another Star Wars TV show get a theatrical movie.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I take issue with the use of the word underperformance. Underperformance doesn't actually mean anything, right? Because some people said that Avatar, which made $1 billion, underperformed. So you can take any box office result and you can just say it underperformed because it should have made more. Mandalorian and Grogu made over $80 million in its opening weekend. How many movies do that? Not a ton. So I take issue with underperformance. However, because that, I'll be honest with you, that came in right about where I expected it to come in. So I don't know that I would call it an underperformance. That being said, I believe that this will be the last time Star Wars takes one of their television properties and tries to make it into a movie. I really do. Because look, if Mandalorian and Grogu surprised the world and came out ends up making $700 or $800 million, which it will not. But if it did, yeah, maybe they would go, maybe we have something here. But listen, none of us are surprised. None of us thought just an extension of a TV show was going to make all that much money at this point, especially with a TV show that had a bad final season like Mandalorian did. So I'm going to say, while I take issue with the use of the term underperformed, I do agree. I think it is not an overreaction to say that I don't expect to see Star Wars take one of their television shows and make it into a feature film again. Rob, what about you?
I totally agree. I think this is the end of that. Now, look, you can never say never, but I think they've learned a lesson here. And that if you can already get content, that's not to say they won't make a movie that'll go direct to streaming. I could see that happening, but not theatrical. Because if they're already getting something, unless it's truly special, unless you're going to, show us something that you can't see on TV. The problem with this movie was if they made this multiple episodes of the show, which is what it felt like, it would have been the same movie. There was nothing about it that screamed that it needed to be theatrical, other than the fact that you might have had more CG creatures than normal. But other than that, yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see the likes of this movie again. All
right. What's next?
All right, Rob. Next one up, is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Kane Izumi, who says, no film will ever win 11 or more Oscars while at the same time making $1 billion, like Return of the King.
I think that is an overreaction because no one knows what the future will bring. Now, is it highly unlikely? Sure. But, look at the time between movies that were big hits and got lots of Oscars, like Ben-Hur, like Titanic. It might be a quarter century or even longer before something like that happens again. But I can see it happening again because it's happened before. So it will happen again, maybe. So I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. So I think it's an overreaction to say it's never going to happen again.
I think this is the first time today that you and I are going to disagree. I'm going to say it is absolutely not an overreaction. First of all, I don't think another film will win 11 Oscars. I could just end it right there. I don't think we'll see that happen again. Like, we just had a record set at the Oscars for a film get the most nominations.
Yeah.
And that was Sinners. Didn't get anywhere close to the 11 mark of wins. So I kind of don't even think any film will ever win 11. Now, you add on top of that, it's got to be a film that wins 11 and made $1 billion at the box office. You're right. It has happened. Lord of the Rings. But it was the most recent example of that. But I honestly don't think it will ever happen again. I think the way that the Academy is now expanded, has a much larger voting base now than it did, 20 years ago. I just don't see that. Even when you get a movie like Sinners, how many nominations did it get? 16? Even that couldn't come close. So I'm going to say absolutely 100% impossible. Well, of course not, but I will say it's an overreaction.
All right. John, is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Murray Reich. The Odyssey will have mixed critic scores.
Well, okay, kind of like the term underperformed. People use the word mixed completely wrong, right? Like, I've heard people say a movie had mixed reactions when it has an 86%. And I'm like, well, 86% of the critics liked it. Well, yeah, but 14 didn't, so it's mixed. Oh, shut up. That's like, it's just one of those things that people can take and apply it however they want. To me, reviews are not mixed unless it's under 60%. If it's under 60% and say over 30%, then to me, that's kind of the range of what is mixed. If it's over 60% or under 30, that ain't mixed. If it's 23, it got negative scores. If it got 65, generally it got positive scores. If it gets like 42, that's mixed. 55, that's mixed. So as long as we're operating with a common understanding of what mixed means, and you don't mean, oh, it got a 78%, that's mixed reviews. No, it's not. So understanding that that's kind of my template for what mixed means. I don't think there's any reason on earth to suspect that the Odyssey will get mixed reviews. Point me to a Christopher Nolan film that has mixed reviews. The guy just makes excellence. Now, that doesn't mean he can't have a bad day at the office. Of course, that can happen. It's within the realm of possibility. But generally speaking, critics really love Christopher Nolan films. And for the Odyssey, again, could this be his bad day at the office? And is it possible this one ends up being his 50% movie? It's possible, but the odds makers in Vegas say that's a bad bet, my friend. That is a bad bet. So I will say it is an overreaction to think that this movie is going to get mixed reviews. Rob, what about you?
I totally agree with you. 100%. And it's hard. Look, you don't know, but I think this one, it's an overreaction.
All right.
How do you see it coming in?
I don't know. I mean, you know what? Do I see it coming in big time? I don't know, dude.
All right.
I don't know. The thing is, things are look, I thought like Mandalorian and Grogu would make more money than it made. I thought it was going to be, I didn't say this, but I thought it was going to make more because it was a Star Wars movie and it didn't, I think it only made $100 million domestic.
$81 million domestic.
But I mean,
for 3-day week.
Yeah, but for 4 days. And I've been off, whereas other things have really, like, if you asked me about Zootopia 2, that it was going to make, I think it's 1.8 billion, I would have said there's no way. We were saying, it couldn't be a $1 billion movie. We're saying, but 1.8 billion. So I've been off. So I don't know. I don't trust my judgment
All right, what's next?
All right, here's our final one, Rob. We're going to finish with you here. We're going to hear from Cartoon Power. Frozen 3 will beat Lion King remakes, record-breaking opening weekend box office.
Okay. What I was just saying, not knowing. Okay. I think Frozen 3. Now, the caveat here is it has to be good. Now, Lion King made, we're talking remake, the live action remake. Is that what we're talking? 1.5 billion?
It's not live. We're talking about the 2019 computer animated version.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. But pardon me, photorealistic. That was, I think that there absolutely is a possibility. I mean, look, Frozen is a phenom. Frozen is like Star Wars, the animated Star Wars for girls and mothers and sisters. And if Frozen 3 is great, it could exceed 1.5 billion. Absolutely.
Well, I think Lion King, if I'm not mistaken, was 1.9. Let me look it up. I could be wrong.
It's 1.6 worldwide.
Okay, 1.6.
1.6 worldwide.
And 191 opening weekend.
That's what we're talking about is opening weekend.
So 191 was opening weekend.
So 190.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, that's tough. That's hard. But it could, because it's Frozen. Now, if you were to ask me again, my box office radar is off. But with something like this, I think it could give Lion King a run for its money because of the legacy that it has with the female audience, especially. They'll turn out, man. They'll turn out. They will get dressed up. This will be another Barbie. This will be a huge thing for mothers, daughters, families. People are going to turn out for Frozen 3, man. They are going to turn out. So it could happen.
Yeah, I'm going to call it an overreaction because, I mean, look, we've had Frozen 1 and Frozen 2.
Right.
And Frozen 2 made 130 opening weekend. That's what it made, 130. And it almost doesn't matter how good it is because all we're talking about is opening weekend. So people are going to buy their tickets before any word of mouth comes out about whether it's good.
That's true. Right? That's right. I can't argue with that cogent reasoning.
I can see it building and being bigger than Frozen 2's opening, but another 50% bigger than Frozen 2's opening to get to that 190 mark. I listen, at the end of the day, could it make more money than Lion King did overall? Yes, especially like as Rob said, if it's really good. And I've enjoyed the Frozen films as a matter of fact. But does it open to 193 million?
Yeah.
I agree with Rob when he says it's possible. Yeah, it is possible, but again, I think the betting odds are against it. So I'm going to say that is an overreaction.
All right. Okay.
All right, guys. And that will wrap up today's installment of Overreaction. Keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel for the next time we put out a call for submissions of your hot takes. And maybe you'll see your next hot take for us to adjudicate on the next installment of Overreaction. All right, guys. With that down, we got to talk about this incredible story about how with this summer's projected box office, it looks we are back to pre-pandemic levels of the box office, that the recovery did happen. We're going to talk about that. But before we do, we're going to take a minute here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Pocket Hose and Hims. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Pocket Hose. Guys, I'm excited to tell you about the world's #1 expanding garden hose and their brand new product, the Pocket Hose Ballistic. As you guys can imagine, I'm not exactly gentle with my gear. I drag hoses across concrete over the pool, yank them around corners. I even coil and uncoil them all the time to put them in my camper van when I go out on my movie meetups. And generally speaking, a lot of them don't last. But the Pocket Hose Ballistic has been a totally different story for me. It's incredibly durable, super lightweight, and just makes the whole job easier.
One of my favorite things is how simple it is to use. You turn the water on, it expands. Turn it off, it shrinks right back down to pocket size. And it's reinforced with a liquid crystal polymer, the same kind of material used in bulletproof vests. Plus, it comes with the pocket pivot, which gives you 360-degree rotation at the spigot so it moves with you instead of fighting against you. And now, for a limited time, when you purchase a new Pocket Hose Ballistic, you'll get a free 360-degree rotating pocket pivot and a free thumb drive nozzle. Just text Campea to 64,000. That's CAMPEA to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Text Campea to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Hims. You know, one of the hardest things about trying to lose weight is just figuring out what actually works, because we've seen them all. There are a million trends, diets, and gimmicks out there, and honestly, it can get overwhelming. And that's why Weight Loss by Hims really stands out. Hims now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill at its lowest price ever, and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hims, lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite and eat less, so success is within reach. Plus, Wegovy is the first ever and only GLP-1 available in a pill for weight loss, so there are no needles needed. And the process is extremely convenient. Everything happens online. You connect with a licensed provider who determines if treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your medication gets delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. Ready to reach your goals? Visit hims.com/Campea to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/Campea. hims.com/Campea. Based on advertised cash price for 30-day supply of medication only. Membership required, fee not included, and billed separately. Weight Loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com.
And thank you to our friends at Hims and Pocket Hose for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. We had a great first quarter of 2026, and we talked about that a number of months ago, that it was fantastic, and it did extremely well, overperformed, kind of looking like pre-pandemic numbers. But, you know, when the pandemic happened after 2019 and the box office crashed and, you know, streaming became more prevalent, a lot of people said the box office will never recover. We will never get back to pre-pandemic levels. It just ain't going to happen. And then when it started showing signs of coming back, then we had the dual writers and actor strikes, and content got halted, and all of a sudden box office dried up again. And again, people said, we will never get back to pre-pandemic levels. Well, at a conference that's going on right now, the CEO of Cinemark Theaters, one of the biggest movie theater chains in the world, God Station said, according to their internal data and that of other outlets as well, they said their projection right now for the summer of 2026 is between $4.2 and $4.3 billion. Now, the reason that number is significant is because that puts this summer, if it does come in, remember, it could go higher. If it does come in at those numbers, it puts this summer on par with the summer of 2019, the final year before the pandemic. Take a look at this chart. Now, the numbers are a little bit small for you guys to see, but right there at the end. Now, that right now, they said anywhere between 4.2 and 4.3. On this chart, we've got it at the low end at 4.2. That's the low end. Okay. Now, in 2023, you saw it spiked a bit with $4.0 billion. That was the Barbenheimer thing that happened, right? But it was never able to replicate that. Of course, you see in 2020 with the pandemic, and in 2019, $4.3 billion. Of course, the year before that was incredibly huge at 4.8. The year before that, a little bit lower at 3.8. But if this summer comes in at projected 4.2, or let's go to the high end, 4.3, 4.4, it will be equal to or higher than the pre-pandemic levels. Now, Rob, you couple that data with the fact that we had such a huge first quarter at this year, it's kind of looking like you're not crazy if you say the box office has now recovered from the pandemic. It took, as we all said it would, years to happen, but it kind of looks like we're there now. And we've got a lot of bigger movies coming out, not just this summer, but then the third and fourth quarters have a lot of big monstrous movies. Of course, don't forget, we got Doomsday coming, for heaven's sakes. And these numbers aren't even taking those into consideration. So, I mean, that's great news. It's a very positive sign. No doubt it is. Everybody should be happy. Everybody in the industry should be happy and all that kind of stuff. Yes. However, I do want to point out, while this is very good numbers, and this is very, very good data, there is still, though, an asterisk that you have to put on there. I'm not taking away from the fact that this is good news. It is. But the asterisk that remains is this. A lot of that box office from quarter one and now what they're projecting from the summer is partially attributed to the premium large formats and the higher ticket prices. Now, you guys know that inflation is not something you should ever take into consideration because you can't take one variable into consideration. If you're going to take one variable into consideration, you got to take all 50 variables into consideration. So that's pointless. However, I do want to point out that while this summer may actually exceed the summer of 2019, fewer people will have actually gone to the movies. It's making more money, but with slightly fewer people actually going. And Rob, you know, to me, that is the canary in the coal mine that I talk about a lot. That is the big warning thing that I've been trying to yell and scream at theater owners and at the big theater chains forever. If you are losing money, you have two options. Number one, do things that you need to do to get more people to come back. Or number two, charge the few faithful people more money so you can break even. The movie theater industry today has ignorantly and stupidly chosen option number two to, well, less people are coming, so we're making less money. Let's charge the people who keep coming more money. Oh, and let's waste more of their time by showing them more commercials and trailers than ever before in history before their movie actually starts. A movie that they paid $15, $18, $20, $23 to come and see. So the death spiral is you charge the people who are coming more and give them a less good experience, so even fewer come next year. So since fewer people are coming, you need to raise your prices again and make their experience even worse to try to break even. You do that, which causes even fewer people. So it is good news that we have great, big, blockbuster, fun, indie, horror. We got a great slate of movies coming out, including things like Obsession, Passenger. We got a whole lot of great looking film coming out this year, and people are going. That is great news. But and I'm not trying to rain on the parade. I'm just trying to say, Rob, that while this is good and it should be celebrated, you can't lose sight of the fact that it is still the reality that fewer people are coming today. And if that trend continues, then the movie theater industry will be doomed. So I really hope at some point organizations like Cinema United, that the big chains like Cinemark, AMC, Regal, what have you, realize that, listen, sports teams every once in a while realize they have to do a rebuilding year. A year or two where they realize they're not going to make much money. It's time to rebuild the team. If we just keep doing the way things are doing, we're never going to make the playoffs and we're never going to improve. I hope the theater industry understands that they're just going to have to bite the bullet for a couple of years, keep prices down, shorten preview times, give the audience a better experience. And then instead of just charging more money to make your nut, you actually get more and more people coming in your door to make your nut and exceed it. So again, good news, big summer, back to pre-pandemic levels. That is great, but don't lose sight of the fact that we still have fewer people going today, and that trend needs to be stopped. Anyway, Rob, you saw this report with the Cinemark CEO saying that they are projecting 4.2 to 4.3 billion this summer, putting it actually back on par with pre-pandemic box office numbers. What stands out to you when you see that data?
Well, look, I mean, as you well know, when you go to the movies, if people have good experiences, they want to go back. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I think that with all the competing entertainment that's available for people, like I can't wait to get the new James Bond game next week, First Light. Looking forward to playing that. Video games, obviously YouTube, all these different things. You have to just keep providing people great experiences at the movie theater. Now, obviously, it's the movies themselves that begin and end with that. And you know what I love to see these micro budget horror movies. You know, we saw Undertone recently, $500,000 theatrically released. Curry Barker's Obsession, as you pointed out, less than $1 million, is going to gross over $100 million. Now, for a studio, that's not so great because they need to make $1 billion because they're a publicly held company. But when Focus Features picks up a movie like Obsession for 15 mil and it's going to gross 100 million, that keeps Focus Features going and also the movie theaters going. We need a lot more of that. We need a lot more. We've proved that movies will make Gen Z turn out and they don't have to be $100 million films. And did I say Gen Z? Yeah, Gen Z. And I think as long as, and when you get to the movie theater, John, you also have to continue to have a good experience outside of the movie. You know, one of the things I like, you know, I've been going a lot to the Regal Irvine Spectrum. I've come to know like the bartenders there by name, kind of like at the Harkins Mountain Grove as well. I like their app, you know, their points and their things and their VIP section and all the stuff that they do. It's fun to walk in there. The other day I walked in there, they had a giant Castle Grayskull that, you know, you walked through up to the concession booths. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And before that, they had a statue of the Mandalorian and Grogu that you could take your picture with. They had a Tron light cycle for Tron Ares. It's like, it's kind of fun. They did a weird thing for Devil Wears Prada where you lined up outside the theater and they had like a giant vending machine and you could get Devil Wears Prada glasses and different like products from the movie. And if you wanted, you could get a Devil Wears Prada 2 glow up. You know, I mean, they're doing all that. And there were people in line for that for like a week. And I'm like, this is all movie theater stuff that is actual. It's making you have a good experience. It's not watching a half an hour of commercials and trailers in the theater. I mean, to be fair, they do about 20 minutes of that, but still, I think it's a continuum. They need to make the movie going experience pleasurable on every level, and ticket prices are just but one. And I think concession prices coming down or putting offers together, deals together, like if you buy things on the app, which they allow you to do, you can get discounts, things like that. All of that's great. And we're getting good movies. But I do think that it has to be attacked on multiple levels.
I remember, Rob. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that, and I think some places are doing that.
Yeah, but not enough. I'll give you an example of this. You know, we were at the screening at the Regal Spectrum of the finale for The Boys, right? So not a movie, but a theatrical experience, right? Like, here's a great opportunity. Like, for the finale of The Boys, you might be getting a lot of people into the theater who may not be regular moviegoers, right? But want to go see The Boys with a big crowd. This is a great hook 'em opportunity to get people enjoying the movie-going experience. The Boys finale is only 1 hour. So you'd think they would not have their regular 20 to 30 minutes of ads and commercials, right? Wrong. And what happened was, in our screening at any rate, first of all, there's like 8 car commercials, candy bar commercials, whatever. All these commercials start, like the movie's supposed to start at like 9 something. And they're like, when the movie's supposed to start, they played like 15 minutes of commercials. Then the trailers start, right? So we're well past the start time now. And like every time, I kid you not, every time a trailer would end and the screen would go dark, and then when it come up with another trailer, you could audibly hear people in the audience groaning. They're going, like some chuckling and laughing and going, oh my God. And I was one of them, to be honest with you. And I'm like, okay, brainiacs, do you think those people, maybe some of them aren't regular moviegoers and came here to see The Boys? Do you think showing them all these fucking damn ads increase the chances that they're going to come back to your theater next week? Or do you think it decreased the chance that they're going to come back. I'll spoil it for you. It decreased the chance that they're going to come back because you didn't respect their time. And like, I just think that's just something that they have to kind of wrap their dumb, stupid heads around before they run this industry that I love so much into the ground. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, this is good news. I don't want to make it sound like it's not. It is. It looks like we are now back box office wise to pre-pandemic levels, something that a lot of people said would never happen. I always thought we would, but you got to still understand and keep in mind that it still represents that there are fewer people coming. And if that problem doesn't get addressed, then it doesn't matter what the industry does. It's going to be hurting for years to come unless they get around to that, to getting more people back in the doors. How are they going to do that? By raising more prices? I doubt it. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And all right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who've been here in the live chat with us during this. Good to see all you guys. Thank you again, X-Men Superfan, for all the donated memberships. That's so awesome of you again. And thank you to all of you for spending time with us here today. We will be back again tomorrow, so we look forward to seeing you then. I want to thank, of course, our technical director back at his little studio in Burbank, Jonathan Boyko.
See you guys later.
All the way in the observatory, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett.
Good to be here, John, even though it's remote.
And again, big thank you to the rest of you guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.